Good afternoon. The Philippines headline inflation quickens to 2.9% in December, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. This figure is faster than the 2.5% recorded in November on the back of higher prices of housing and energy. But the reading was nevertheless within the 2.3 to 3.1% forecast range of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for the month. This brings the average price growth for 2024 to 3.2%, settling within the 2 to 4% target band of the central bank for the first time in 3 years. That inflation is expected to stay benign despite the upward price pressures, which means the central bank has space to continue its rate-cutting cycle to boost economic growth, which significantly slowed in the third quarter of 2024. Meanwhile, in the country's economic managers, through a briefing on Monday, January 6, reported to President Bongbong Marcos that the country is heading into 2025 with a stronger position than it was at the same time last year. The president then noted that it is always good to be prepared, even when the government is within its target inflation range. The Social Security system says that its latest contribution rate hike and increase in the monthly salary credit will enhance members' benefits and boost collections. According to SSS, starting January 2025, the SSS contribution rate increased to 15%, up from 14% in 2024. This marks the final tranche of hikes under Republic Act No. 11199, which began in 2019. The SSS adds that its minimum monthly salary credit was raised to 5,000 pesos, while the maximum monthly salary credit is now set at 35,000 pesos. In a statement on Tuesday, January 7, SSS President and Chief Executive Officer Robert Joseph Declaro says these adjustments are expected to generate an additional 51.5 billion pesos in collections for 2025. Of this amount, 35% or 18.3 billion pesos will be allocated to the Mandatory Provident Fund, which serves as an additional savings account for private sector workers and other individual members. Declaro further explains that the additional collection amount also enables SSS to support national government in times of difficulty, particularly as regards granting calamity loans. He noted that in 2024, the agency released 9.7 billion pesos in calamity loans to more than 500,000 members affected by disasters. Moreover, Declaro says that the contribution and monthly salary credit hikes are among the most important reforms under Republic Act No. 11199 to secure the long-term sustainability of the SSS Fund. Under the Republic Act, the SSS contribution rate increased by 1% every 2 years, starting at 12% in 2019 and culminating at 15% in 2025. The traditional Pahalik that has been part of the annual feast of the Nazarene starts ahead of schedule this year as devotees began massing and lining up at the Nazareno grandstand. The Manila Police District says church authorities officially opened the religious activity that involved the touching and kissing of the Nazarene image at around 8 p.m. on Monday, January 6, even if it was supposed to start by midnight Tuesday, January 7. A Mass for the Nazareno 2025 preceded the Pahalik. In a message to reporters on Monday, January 6, Quiapo Church Communications Coordinator Seljen Cabrito said that they would start the celebration early in case there are already devotees forming a line after the Mass. According to Manila Police District, around 300 people queued in the first hour upon opening of the Pahalik, and that the crowd swelled to approximately 600 people before dawn. The Pahalik will last until the Traslacion or the procession of the Nazarene image begins on Thursday, January 9. This annual procession is a reenactment of the 1787 Traslacion, which literally means a solemn transfer of the Nazarene image from its original shrine in Bagong Bayan at the present Rizal Park to the Quiapo Church. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announces his resignation in the face of rising discontent over his leadership and after the abrupt departure of his finance minister signaled growing turmoil within his government. Trudeau says it had become clear to him that he cannot be the leader during the next elections due to internal battles.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles I cannot be the best option in that election.
An official who is familiar with the matter says the parliament, which had been due to resume on January 7, will be suspended until March 24. This timing will allow for a Liberal Party leadership race. The official spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the matter publicly. All three main opposition parties have said they plan to topple the Liberal Party in a no-confidence vote when Parliament resumes, so a spring election to pick a permanent replacement was almost assured. Trudeau says a new Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party will carry its values and ideals into the next election. He adds that he is excited to see that process unfold in the months ahead. According to Trudeau, his one regret is the way their citizens elect government officials, which divides Canadians against each other.
But I do wish that we'd been able to change the way we elect our governments in this country so that people could simply choose a second choice or a third choice on the same ballot, so that parties would spend more time trying to be people's second or third choices, and people would have been looking for things they have in common instead of trying to polarize and divide Canadians against each other.
The political upheaval comes at a difficult moment for Canada internationally. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on all Canadian goods if the government does not stem what Trump calls a flow of migrants and drugs in the U.S., even though far fewer of each crosses into the U.S. from Canada than from Mexico, which Trump has also threatened. Meanwhile, Canada's former Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, announced her resignation from Trudeau's cabinet on December 16, criticizing some of Trudeau's economic priorities in the face of Trump's threats. Trudeau came to power in 2015 after 10 years of Conservative Party rule and had initially been hailed for returning the country to its liberal past. But the Prime Minister became deeply unpopular with voters in recent years over a range of issues, including the soaring cost of food and housing and surging immigration. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.